The teacher who never left. I shouldn't have gone into that room. Not then, not alone. It started when I found myself standing in front of a classroom door that looked like it had been opened in years. The peeling paint, the rusted lock, everything about it screamed abandoned. But when I glanced down at the nameplate next to the door, a chill ran up my spine. It read, Mr. Holloway, 10th grade English. That was the name of a teacher who had vanished without a trace over 30 years ago. I had been hired to document the decay of the old high school for a local historical society, which had a strange fascination with preserving abandoned buildings in the area. Most of it was just rusted lockers, forgotten textbooks, and crumbling walls. But this school, it felt different, heavy, as though the weight of something unfinished hung in the air. As I pushed open the creaky door to Mr. Holloway's classroom, a faint, musty odor greeted me. The room was frozen in time, like a snapshot of the past. Desks, still aligned in rows, each with a few stray papers and an old textbook left open, as if the lesson had been abruptly cut short. The blackboard at the front still had chalk markings, faded but legible. But there was one thing that stood out: the desk. Mr. Holloway's desk. It was immaculate, nothing on it, except a half-empty mug of what looked like stale coffee. I stepped inside, my shoes echoing on the dusty floor. It felt wrong. I had been in plenty of abandoned schools before, but this one made my skin crawl. The air was too still, too cold for a place that had been vacant for so long. I tried to shake off the unsettling feeling and began to snap some photos. The room was eerily quiet. No wind, no creaks, no sounds of birds outside the cracked windows, just the oppressive silence of a place long forgotten. That's when I heard it. A soft shuffle, barely audible, but enough to make my heart skip a beat. I froze, camera still in hand. The sound came from the corner of the room where the filing cabinets were. My eyes darted to the spot, but there was nothing, just shadows gathering where the light didn't reach. I told myself it was just the wind, the old building settling. But the longer I stood there, the more the unease grew. I could almost feel something in the room with me watching. I moved toward the filing cabinets, my footsteps unnaturally loud in the silence. But as I approached, I noticed a small piece of paper sticking out from one of the drawers, a single sheet of yellowed paper. The handwriting on it was faint, but it seemed oddly familiar. It was a note written in a hurried hand. "Don't let him in." My stomach twisted. I felt an overwhelming urge to leave, but curiosity kept me rooted in place. Who had left this? And why did it seem like it was written for me? For a brief moment, I considered leaving the room, but my feet refused to move. That's when I saw it, a shadow. At first, I thought it was my own reflection in the dusty window, but when I looked back, there was nothing there. I glanced around, my breath quickening. The air felt heavier now, pressing down on me. I tried to laugh it off, telling myself it was just nerves, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone, that someone was in the room with me. And then I heard the voice. It was soft at first, barely a whisper, but it grew louder. "Leave." I spun around, eyes wide. My heart pounded in my chest. There was no one there. I rushed toward the door, but before I could reach the handle, the lights flickered. Once, twice, and then they went out completely. The classroom plunged into darkness. My breath hitched. I stood frozen, trying to adjust to the blackness. The air was cold, unnaturally cold, like it had dropped 20 degrees in an instant. And then I felt something brushed against my shoulder. A cold, clammy hand. My body went rigid with fear. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. The voice again. "Leave now." I could feel it getting closer. I felt it behind me. Something was breathing down my neck. I spun around, desperate to see who or what was there, but there was nothing. The room was empty, still, silent. I fumbled for the door handle, my hands shaking. My pulse thundered in my ears as I yanked it open, spilling out into the hallway. The light from the hallway was blinding after the darkness of the room, and I ran, my footsteps echoing down the corridor, the air still cold on my skin. When I made it outside, I couldn't bring myself to look back at the building. The old high school loomed in the distance, silent and menacing. As I caught my breath, I pulled my phone from my pocket to call the Historical Society, but something caught my eye. The nameplate on the front door, "Mr. Holloway, 10th grade English," had been removed. I stared at the empty spot where it had been. For the briefest moment, I could have sworn I saw a figure standing in the window of Mr. Holloway's classroom, a shadowy figure with the outline of a man, standing still, just watching. But that wasn't possible. The school had been closed for decades. There was no one there. I don't know what happened in that room. I don't know if it was a trick of the light or if something truly supernatural had occurred. But I can tell you one thing for sure. Mr. Holloway never left that classroom, and I don't think he ever will.